Hi scholars and happy Friday! Today we're working on Module 6, Lesson 27. I can share and critique peer strategies for solving problems of varied types. So our objective is a little different from how we're going to do it since we're doing it virtually. So it'll be more me going over some problems, how you would solve them, and then you'll practice in your problem set. Some announcements. As always, remember to get on Zern and iReady Math for at least 30 minutes this week. Your packet work is page 104 to 105. Your assignment due is the whole thing, so I need pictures of all of page 104 and all of page 105. Today you'll need a piece of paper and a pencil, and below will be a link for the virtual manipulatives. So we're going to start with this problem. 8 students lined up to go to art. Some more lined up to go to music. Then there were 12 students in line. How many students lined up to go to music? We read it once, so that's our first step, but we're going to reread some parts because it was a lot. Let's read it together. 8 students lined up to go to art. All right, so I know 8 students lined up to go to art. I'm going to put a tape diagram. So I'm going to just start with one tape diagram, not a double, because from reading it the first time, it sounds like it'll just be one. Well, I know 8 students lined up to go to art, so I can put in 8, and I can put in A for art. All right, so that's what we know first. Now let's go back for the second part. Some more lined up to go to music. Some more lined up to go to music. Well, we don't know how many, but we know that it's going to be a part, so I can put a question mark and an M for music. Now let's go back to our problem. Then there were 12 students in line. So there were 12 students in line. That's my total. We put our total. Now going back to that question, how many students lined up to go to music? Well, we read the problem. Did we draw and label our tape diagram? Yeah. What do we need to do next? We read it, draw it, write it. We need an addition sentence to help us solve. Looking at my parts, those would be my add-ins. So 8 plus unknown equals 12. Does that show what my tape diagram is showing? Yeah. Now we're going to solve. All right, well, there's some ways I could do this, but I like to count on. If I'm at 8 and I count on 9, 10, 11, 12, I counted on 4 numbers to get to 12. My answer is 4. That's not all I need to write. I also need to write a statement. 4 students lined up to go to music. Did that answer my question? How many students lined up to go to music? 4 students lined up to go to music. Yep, that answered my question. This is every part we need to solve, and we're going to do it for a new one. Number 2. Peter rode his bike 5 blocks. Rose rode her bike 13 blocks. How much shorter was Peter's ride? I know this time we're going to need a double tape diagram because when we're comparing, we need a double tape diagram. So, comparing means how much shorter, how much longer, how much fewer, how much more. That's comparing. Our difference was our last one. That's when you just use 1. All right, so I'm going to make my double tape diagrams. P for Peter, R for Rose. How come Rose's is longer? Because Rose rode her bike more amount of blocks. Well, let's fill in our numbers. Peter rode his bike 5 blocks, Rose rode her bike 13 blocks. Good. That's why Rose is bigger, because she rode more blocks. Our question is, how much shorter was Peter's ride? Well, to help figure out what we're trying to find, we can put a circle with a question mark. I made my circle start at the end of Peter's and go all the way to the end of Rose's because that's how much shorter his ride was. Now we need a number sentence. 13 minus 5 equals unknown. You can solve this however you would like, and we get the answer 8. But I'm not done writing. Peter's ride was 8 blocks shorter. That answers my question, how much shorter was Peter's ride? If you did 5 plus unknown equals 13, that's okay too. I just thought subtraction made the most sense in my head. But if you can use addition, that's perfectly fine, as long as you're getting the answer 8. We're going to do another one. Lee and Anton collected 16 leaves on their walk. 9 of the leaves were Lee's. How many leaves were Anton's? Well, if I read that back, our first sentence there gave us the total. And then the second sentence gave us our part. So I know we're doing just a regular tape diagram. So I'm going to draw my two parts and my total. But am I done? No way, I need to label. So let's go back. Lee and Anton collected 16 leaves on their walk. Well, that's the total. Now we'll go back to the second. 9 of the leaves were Lee's. All right, so I'll put a 9 and an L for Lee. How many leaves were Anton's? Well, we don't know how many Anton's were, so we can put a question mark and an A. Now, we're going to come up with a number sentence to help us solve. Like I said last time, you could use addition or subtraction. You could do 9 plus unknown equals 16, or 16 take away 9 equals unknown. When you're making your number sentences, be careful what's a part and what's your total. That's what the tape diagram is here to help. Now you can solve. We could start at 9 and count on 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Our answer is 7. Am I done? No way, I need a statement. 7 leaves were Anton's. Now we're done. Now we're going to do another one. Number 4. The team counted 11 soccer balls inside the net. They counted 5 fewer soccer balls outside of the net. How many soccer balls were outside of the net? All right, well, I know this time we have 2, we're comparing. How many more were out, or how many soccer balls were outside of the net? We're going to need a double tape diagram. We have inside the net and we have outside of the net. We already know that the team counted 11 soccer balls inside the net. 11. Why do you think I did it like that? 11 is our total for the inside. That's why I was able to do it like that. I'm showing you a different way that you can do a double tape diagram. We know they counted 5 fewer soccer balls outside of the net. Okay, I'm going to split up inside the net into 2 parts. In those 2 parts, we're going to have really the outside, what's outside of the net, and then the rest will be what's inside. So we know they counted 5 fewer. So one of my parts has to be 5. In order to find out how many soccer balls were outside of the net, that's why my outside tape is the same size as one of my parts in the inside. That's what we're finding. Now looking just at the inside tape, we have a total, we have a part. Using those numbers, we're going to solve. So make a number sentence to solve. I'm going to do 11 take away 5 equals unknown. And I know this one because I know 5 and 5 make 10. So 5 and 1 more than that has to equal 11. So my answer is 6. Now I need to answer the question, how many soccer balls were outside of the net? 6 soccer balls were outside of the net. You could have done a double tape diagram or just a regular tape diagram. That's why I showed you this way. We're going to go on to the next one. Julio saw 14 cars drive by his house. Julio saw 6 more cars than Shanika. How many cars did Shanika see? Well, since it's 2 different people, I'm going to make a double tape diagram again. I have a J for Julio and S for Shanika. Julio saw 14 cars drive by his house. Julio saw 6 more cars than Shanika. Since I know that he saw more, that's why I made his tape bigger. We know that he saw a total of 14 cars drive by. We also know that Julio saw 6 more cars than Shanika. So I'm going to break it up. I'm going to put a 6 because I know he saw 6 more. And then I know the rest would be the same as how many Shanika saw. Using our top tape diagram, you're going to make a number sentence. 14 take away 6 equals blank. Your answer is 8. And then I need to answer my question. Shanika saw 8 cars. All right, we're moving on to our last problem. Some students were eating lunch. 4 students joined them. Now there are 17 students eating lunch. How many students were eating lunch in the beginning? Well, I'm going to make just one tape diagram because we're just talking about kids eating lunch, and I know my whole total, and it's 2 parts about them eating lunch. So I'm just going to make one. Here's my tape, but I need to label. We know some students were eating lunch. We don't know how many, but I'm going to put an S for some and a question mark. 4 students joined them. 4, and they joined, so I put a J. Now there are 17 students eating lunch. Well, I know that's my total, 17. Now, how many students were eating lunch in the beginning? I need a number sentence to solve. Blank plus, or unknown plus 4 equals 17. Or I could do subtraction. 17 take away 4 equals unknown. I'm going to get the same answer either way. My answer is 13. But I'm not done. I need to answer my question. 13 students were eating lunch in the beginning. Those are all the parts. We read it, we draw it, we write it. So make sure when you're solving, you're doing all of these parts. For your problem set today on page 104, read the problem, draw, and write. Number 1, 9 letters came in the mail on Monday. Some more letters were delivered on Tuesday. Then there were 13 letters. How many letters were delivered on Tuesday? Number 2, Ben and Tamara found a total of 18 seeds in their watermelon slices. Ben found 7 seeds in his slice. How many seeds did Tamara find? Number 3, some children were playing on the playground. 8 children came to join, and now there are 14 children. How many children were on the playground in the beginning? All right, we're going to the next page. Number 4, Willie walked for 7 minutes. Peter walked for 14 minutes. How much shorter in time was Willie's walk? Number 5, Emmy saw 12 ants walking in a row. Fran saw 6 more ants than Emmy. How many ants did Fran see? And then last, number 6, Shanika has 13 cents in her front pocket. She has 8 fewer cents in her back pocket. How many cents does Shanika have in her back pocket? Use a regular tape diagram or a double tape diagram to solve. Now we're going to go over your work from yesterday. On page 96, these are your answers. I have all of my parts, so you can pause it here to check with yours. Page 97, here are your answers with all your parts. You can pause it here to check your answers. I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday and have a great relaxing weekend. I hope it's nice and warm and you guys can spend some time outside playing. I'll be back with a video on Tuesday because we won't have anything on Monday. See you then.